from a shipping perspective, the first thing you have to do is obviously find what went wrong, right? I mean, these are state-of-the-art ships, especially this one involved in this accident is a brand new ship. It's less than 10 years old, built in Korea. These are high-quality ships, so it's a very unlikely phenomenon that you get something like that. The other thing is obviously you have to look at the human error, but again, when the ships approach ports or tight waterways or areas that they don't know very well, you have experienced personnel that gets on board from the port called basically pilots, and they're the ones who are going to steer the ship through the waterway. So there are a lot of elements here. One is obviously the human element. The other is the mechanical failure, which seems to be the case here. But there's also obviously the timing here, because this, if it happened like 10 or 15 minutes later, nothing would have gone wrong.
Is the process here in the coming quarters, in months, in years, a litigious years in the making process, or is it covered by insurance and reinsurance and offices in Hamilton, Bermuda that I don't know about, where there's almost a routine to how the shipping industry deals with a tragedy like this?
Well, I don't think it's routine at all. I mean, usually human loss, and hopefully there is none here, but human loss, especially outside the ship, is kind that is very rare in the maritime industry. You have very few incidents globally that you have basically this type of an event that will cause basically ordinary citizens to die. So I think that's definitely not an ordinary process. It will take a very, very long time, and it will have multiple agents, organizations involved, especially given that this happened in the U.S.
John, can you give us a sense, just for folks that not in this business, like at 1:30 in the morning, navigating through a harbor, is this navigation visual? Is it by instruments? How is that done? Because it seemed like it was significantly, perhaps, off course here.
Yeah, of course, it's not visual. Obviously, these are, as I said at the beginning, state-of-the-art equipment on board, and very experienced pilots and captains that are going to steer the ship outside, to go towards the ocean. So, as we all saw in the videos, it seems that there's a blackout happening just moments before the collision. So, again, we don't know what was happening at that point on the bridge, what people were discussing, what was the incident, but it seems that a blackout where basically everything stops, the engine stops, there is no power, and there is no way you can steer the boat, the ship away from either currents, or maybe the router got stuck, who knows. But it seems that the mechanical failure is the most likely scenario here.
John, just give us a sense how big Baltimore is in the global scale of shipping. It seems like a busy port. Just give us a sense of its relative scale.
It is very significant in terms especially of consumer goods, cars, stuff that the U.S. imports from abroad. Is not as significant than the commodities business. I mean, they do export coal from the Baltimore area, but I think probably what's going to be affected most is deliveries of new cars, for example, or consumer goods. But again, I mean, there is a lot of other areas, obviously north, the New York Harbor, and all the way down to Georgia, Savannah, and so on, so that you have alternative destinations. But obviously, that's going to take a while for the situation to resolve and this thing to begin operating normally again. So definitely these delays will cause delays in deliveries of goods.
If you're joining us now worldwide and across this nation as we look at a horrific bridge accident in Baltimore, John Kartsonas joins us now, managing partner, Breakwave Advisors. His work with Synergy, his work with Citigroup over the years, just truly encyclopedic on the linkage of global shipping into equity analysis. John, I think a question that a lot of Americans have today that needs to be reviewed. It seems like everybody in America is involved in shipping. Maersk is over in the Baltic Sea. You and your board membership with Synergy, they're out of Athens, Greece. Okay, I get that. Breakwave is its own beast. Why aren't Americans involved? Why aren't there American ships, U.S. ships, U.S. shipping, U.S. shipbuilding? Why is America left out of the discussion?
That's a very interesting question, and it goes back to I think that what everybody knows that is cheaper and more efficient to build it abroad, or to staff it abroad. I mean, this is something that has gone through decades now. The U.S. maritime business, if you go back 100, 150 years, was thriving, but this has changed over the years, and right now, basically, Asia and some European countries are dominating the global shipping space. Um, it has to do with cost. It has to do with the cost of building a ship. I mean, you can build a ship in the U.S., but it's going to cost you 3 times more because of the protectionism that the shipping industry is enjoying in the U.S.